I've noticed something kind of odd in the beauty community in the last couple years. Ever since COVID, something very specific has been marketed towards the masses through beauty. Food. Food has always been marketed towards us. Food marketing is actually one of the oldest and most sophisticated forms of advertising that exists. It predates the internet, it predates television, predates almost everything we'd recognize as modern media. And the reason it's so sophisticated is that food marketers figured out something very early on that most other industries took decades to catch up on. A McDonald's ad is not trying to convince you that their burger is made of quality ingredients. A Coke ad is not trying to explain to you what Coca-Cola tastes like. What all of those things are selling, what food marketing has always been selling, is a feeling. Comfort, reward, the feeling of a little treat at the end of the day, the feeling that's somewhere warm and familiar when everything is outside that is cold and uncertain. All of these things are about a specific emotional state that the brand wants you to associate with buying their thing. And they spent hundreds of years perfecting this. The lighting, the condensation on the glass, the cheese pull, the sizzle, the steam rising from a fresh cup of coffee. Every single one of those images was engineered by food stylists and directors and creative teams to produce one very specific neurological response. So, why has the beauty industry adopted this in the last decade? Across skincare, makeup, fragrances, body care, all of it. They spent the last several years making their products look, sound, smell, feel, and be like something you would order for dessert. Glazed donut skin. Just look at the language that beauty brands use to describe their products. Buttery formula, glazed skin, whipped texture, melted, creamy. These sound like pastry words, like baking words. So to understand what's happening in food and in beauty, we first have to understand a theory called the lipstick index. November 2001, the US is in a recession. The dot-com bubble has burst. 9/11 happened 2 months ago. Consumer confidence is cratering. And Leonard Lauder, the chairman of Estee Lauder, one of the biggest beauty conglomerates on earth, noticed something quite strange. The lipstick sales are going up. Across all of his company's brands, lipstick sales have risen significantly. Across the whole country, lip color sales were up 11% in the final quarter of 2001. Lauder coined a phrase for this, the lipstick index. His theory was that when the economy gets bad, people stop buying the big luxuries, new clothes, vacations, redirect their energy into smaller and cheaper luxuries instead. Lipstick, it's somewhere between $8 and $30. It's the perfect small luxury. He goes even further and he suggests that this can function as an economic indicator. Rising lipstick sales could actually predict an economic downturn. That your local beauty aisle is, in some sense, a more honest gauge of what the economy looks like, more than the stock market. There's just one problem. The data doesn't consistently back it up. During the 2008 financial crisis, the worst recession since the Great Depression, cosmetic sales fell with the broader economy. In 2020, when COVID hit, lipstick sales 100% didn't rise because everybody was wearing masks and didn't need to show the bottom half of their faces. A 2012 paper in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that in times of economic stress, women who felt financially threatened specifically showed increased desire for beauty products, but the effects was heavily dependent on whether those women felt their attractiveness was socially relevant in the first place. In other words, the psychology is real, but the purchasing behavior is definitely conditional. What Lauder observed in 2011 may have just been a beauty boom that was happening alongside the recession. Celebrity makeup artists were launching their own lines. MAC was launching at a pace it had never been before. Newness was driving excitement, as it did with any affordable luxury substitution effect. So the lipstick index is, at best, a theory. A good theory, but a theory. But here is what's fascinating. The theory itself might be shaky, but the marketing logic that grew out of it was very, very real. Brands started building strategies around it. They started explicitly positioning their products as cheap, affordable luxuries, as small joys in a hard world, as things that you could still justify when the bigger things were off the table, as an affordable little treat. Now, in 2024, 2025, 2026, the logic has mutated into something I'm not sure anybody has named quite yet, because beauty brands are no longer saying that their products are affordable little treats. They're just making their products look like treats. In the last 3 years, some of the most viral beauty trends in history have been named after food. Dewy, luminous skin look, popularized by Hailey Bieber herself, generated over 5 billion views. Beauty analytics company tracked search growth on gourmand dessert-inspired beauty products. They had increased 182% year after year across social platforms. And you might say, what is this? Beauty has been named after random things time after time. To that I say, yes, you are right. But this is a marketing apparatus. Like this entire thing. Take Rhode, Hailey Bieber's skincare brand, launched in 2022 and became one of the most successful beauty launches in recent history. Rhode's aesthetic is almost entirely dessert coated. Pink frosting, whipped cream motifs, product imagery next to glazed donuts, fresh strawberries. Their lip treatments even have names like salted caramel, glazing milk. You look at a Rhode flat lay, you're supposed to feel like you want to eat it. Right? I feel like that's intentional. Every single creative decision that brand has made is engineered around the idea that their products should feel like biting into a soft pastry. And the ads are doing the same exact thing. The strawberry in the image is the hero. The product is almost a secondary image. Think about how food photography works on its highest level. The way a good photo makes you feel hungry even when you're not. The way it bypasses the cognition part of your brain and goes straight into want. Beauty brands have figured out how they could borrow that exact mechanism. Go on any skincare brand's website right now and read the product descriptions. Buttery formula, creamy texture, whipped consistency, melt-in application. These are words that belong in a kitchen, and they've been deliberately transferred to the vocabulary of cosmetics. A 2024 analysis of beauty marketing language found that food-adjacent texture descriptors consistently outperformed abstract claims like nourishing or hydrating in driving purchase intent. So the trend is real, we figured that part out, but why? Why food? Why not describe skincare as silky or cashmere or some luxurious texture? I think there are 4 main reasons and they all connect to one another. First, multisensory specificity. Food is uniquely powerful as a trigger because it activates more senses simultaneously than anything does in any part of our lives. When you eat something that you really love, you're experiencing taste, smell, texture. Neuroscientific research into multisensory experiences has found that engaging multiple senses at the same time increases memory retention and brand recall by up to 70% compared to single sense engagement. When a beauty brand aligns itself with food, it's almost borrowing all of that neural package that's coming with the feeling of the food. It's almost hijacking the memory of eating. 2, universality. Here's something interesting about luxury signifiers in beauty. Traditional aspirational beauty marketing required consumer literacy. You needed to know that La Mer was prestigious. You needed to understand that a certain packaging meant a certain quality that came along with it. That excluded a lot of people, either because they weren't a part of those social circles, or because they were younger, or because they hadn't been marinated in those references long enough. C, food bypasses all of that. You don't need to know anything about the beauty industry to know what a donut feels like. The indulgence, the comfort, the warmth, that's universally known by everyone, cutting across age, class, background, culture, a way that luxury as a traditional concept just cannot. When Rhode makes its product as a dessert, it's democratizing the emotional register of luxury by translating it into something that everyone can universally understand. 3, nostalgia. And this one, it's just in like every bit of marketing. Nostalgia is my favorite marketing, and I fall for it 24/7. 24 hours of a day. I love nostalgia bait. I have a very big problem with it. Literally, if you just like show me something from the 80s, I think I'll buy it. You show me something from like the 60s to the 80s, I'm press and purchase. Like, I have a really hard time at the store. So I've started this new thing over the last year. I've really gotten into film photography. When I tell you, I've collected, I think 35 cameras in the last like 6 months. I have a problem. Every time I go into a thrift store, I just somehow somehow magically find myself in my car with a new camera. I don't. Skincare already sells you on this promise of youth. In itself, a snack that you bought as a kid or the way that food makes you feel is a youthful experience in itself. A lot of these memories that we build are from being children or being young. In a period of economic anxiety, that particular nostalgia has a very specific valence. The past, specifically the past before you were financially responsible for yourself, is a place where food was abundant and joyful and there and free from the anxieties of whether you can afford it this month. And 4, substitution economy. This is where it all connects back to the lipstick index, but in a way that is way more precise. In the last 5 years, food in America and in most of the developed world has undergone a quiet status reclassification. Between January 2020 and January 2023, U.S. food at home prices increased by 24%. The Food Consumer Price Index peaked at 9.9% single-year increase in 2022. Restaurant prices got worse. Food away from home like Uber Eats rose 7% in both 2022 and 2023. And in 2024, the gap between restaurant price inflation and grocery price inflation hit 3.1% points, which sounds small until you learn that the usual historic gap is 0.6%. The restaurant versus grocery store price gap is currently 5 times wider than its long-term average. According to a 2024 analysis, the average cost of preparing food at home is about $4 to $6 per person. Eating at a restaurant, not a fancy restaurant, runs about $15 to $20 per person, maybe even higher. If you're talking about Canadian prices, we're talking about like $30. You're not walking away from the table without paying $30. A survey found that 51% of consumers were eating food at home. That is up 51% from 2019. Over a third of those people said that they were actively stretching their money out from dining out to groceries because their money spreads a lot further. I think what matters most is that dining out, which used to be a pretty normal, regular Tuesday night thing for a lot of middle class families, has been quietly reclassified over the last couple of years as a occasion-based thing. The journalist at Forbes that is covering this trend used an interesting term. She quoted a chef that now says that customers want cheap, fancy, high quality feeling meals, but at a price that they can still justify. But unfortunately, the comfortable middle is collapsing. Food as a casual, spontaneous, consequence-free thing is being harder to access. So now let's go look back at the beauty industry. When food becomes a luxury, what's the best way to sell products? The foodification of beauty. And yes, I said ification. I know, I'm a doom tuber. But the foodification of beauty, I would argue, is the most precise and sophisticated practice of the lipstick index that has ever existed. Now, I want to complicate my own argument for a second because I think intellectual honesty requires that. And that's important. If beauty is functioning as an affordable substitution for food as luxury, then beauty sales should be rising right now. And in some categories they are, but beauty is not exactly having the moment that the lipstick index would predict. The 4 largest beauty conglomerates in the last year have reported disappointing results. Junk Elephant, CeraVe are all companies that are seeing massive declines in sales over the last year. So what's going on? Why isn't beauty universally thriving, especially if it's using this universally loved marketing tactic? The first thing is that substitution is category specific. There are products that are doing quite well right now. Affordable lip products, road products, body care, hair care, skin care. And those are the ones that have leaned specifically very hard into the food adjacent market. Consumer confidence hit an absolute low since mid-2024, earlier this year. So what would happen if food wasn't a luxury anymore? If restaurant and grocery store prices stabilize and people feel comfortable eating out of their house? I don't know if food will ever be affordable as much as it should be. And if beauty brands and other brands have gone this hard on food imagery, I think that should tell you something about what they think is going to happen in the state of the world in the next couple of years. Brands don't build entire aesthetic identities across one reference point until they are 100% sure that that relates to their customer base. Next time you see a lip gloss next to a glazed donut in product photography, or something that sounds like it would be a food, that is marketing, baby. Anyways, hi, I'm Isabella, and thank you for listening and joining me today. I hope you liked today's video. Today was a bit of a long one. I actually really enjoyed this topic. I love anything that has to do with marketing, to be honest. And I find it really interesting just how sneaky brands can be. Do you guys like my shirt? I don't know if you can see it. It says, "A freak in the sheets and a killer in the streets. Michael Myers." Perfect. I love this shirt. Anyways, sorry that I took a break last week. It's been so freaking hectic in my life. I'm actually so just my life is a constant state of being overwhelmed. It's awesome. Loved making this video. Super fun, and I'm excited for the next one. If you liked today's video, you should hit that like button because it really helps me out. And like always, if you had fun this time, you should subscribe because I guarantee you'll have fun next time, because I do post every other Monday. Sometimes I take a break, but that's okay. Love ya. Great to see ya. And I will see ya next time. Bye.